Chairman, and thank you all for being here. First, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record an article that was co-authored by former Commerce, Justice, Science Subcommittee Chairman Frank Wolf and Norm Augustine, who this committee knows very well. So would ask unanimous consent for submission.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. Again, want to thank you all for being here. So grateful for your work. Especially want to just thank Colonel Collins. Really appreciate your service to our nation and the inspiration you are to young people, but especially to young women of incredible opportunities and how we need them to be involved in space and science and discovery. So thank you. And Dr. Griffin, so grateful for your service as administrator. Really, I think a bright time and a time we can be proud of your service there. So I want to thank you so much for that. This is an important hearing, and as we continue to look for ways to bring long-term vision and stability for NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, I think it's something we need to be looking at across our entire scientific ecosystem as well. As science becomes an increasingly collaborative and international enterprise, other countries are putting their stake in the ground to find the place where they will lead. America has traditionally led across the board. It is not the only measure, but one need only look at the list of Nobel Prizes per country. We are the #1, but other countries are catching up very quickly. If we rest on our laurels, we may have a future where we have to send our kids overseas to get the best education in the world and to do groundbreaking research to get that next Nobel Prize. One idea outlined by the article that I entered into the record, the article written by Congressman Wolf and Mr. Augustine, is for a dedicated fund for scientific research so that we can actually put together 5, 10, or 25-year plans. As our witnesses should be able to attest, our researchers and scientists are walking on pins and needles, just hoping that their project can stay on pace, on budget, and outside the ire of OMB bureaucrats or a disinterested administration. When the president leaves or shifts around administrators, researchers have to spend their time catching new people up just to let them know what we are doing. A program can be cut or priorities can be shifted without the full picture. The cancellation of Constellation was a disaster. I think we all can see that now. It has been not just a setback, but it also hurts our standing in the world. I think Russia snickers when we need them to take our astronauts to the space station that our shuttle built. Dr. Griffin, what are the first questions that we get when from other nations when we come to them with an ambitious long-term project that will require all sides to deliver to see success? What response do we get back from them?
Well, in my time, we were still working on, trying to do two things. We were working on completing the International Space Station because only a third of it was finished when the shuttle went down. And so the first questions I faced almost immediately after my confirmation hearing back in the spring of 2005 were from our partners. Are you really going to stick with this? Are you going to see it through? And following the loss of Columbia, we knew that we were not going to be able to have as many shuttle flights as we had previously planned. So we had at that time to cut back some on our what we called our utilization flights in order to prioritize assembly. And I committed, with the backing of then President Bush, I committed that the United States would finish the station, and the sighs of relief were palpable. So I'm answering your question by my experience is what they want to know is, are you going to see it through? Yeah. When we asked them, the second thing we were doing per our instructions from the White House and Congress, the second thing we were doing was embarking on a plan for human lunar return. And the written words in the policy said that we would do it in company with our international partners. So it became my job to put that partnership together. The first question they asked is, are you really serious? And at first they didn't really believe it. As several years went by, they did believe it. And by early 2009, they were fully in support of returning to the moon. And then the next year we canceled. Yeah. I was of course gone from Washington by then, but I had phone calls from all over the world. Eileen made the comment earlier that the NASA Advisory Council did not receive any information prior to the cancellation of Constellation that it would happen. Well, you can take that and square it for our international partners who woke up on a Tuesday morning to find out that the lunar program they thought they were a part of was gone. I know I'm overstaying my time and yours, but I must conclude this question with a story that I think is sad for what it conveys. In the spring of 2010, I happened to be down at Cape Canaveral and having dinner at one of my favorite restaurants down there over the years, and a waiter, an immigrant from Italy who knew me well, came over to my table and said, "Dr. Griffin," he said, what is this? I hear they're canceling the moon program. And I said, "Yes, that's true." And in typical Italian fashion, he starts waving his arms and saying, "I came to this country because you are the people who can build space shuttles and build space stations and go to the moon." He said, "And now you're not?" He says, "What is it with these people? Do they not know what it means to be a superpower?" And I will never forget that conversation. That is what people from other countries think of us when we start and stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I totally agree. My time is up, but really, we need to put our money where our mouth is. We need to follow through on our commitments, and so I appreciate, again, my time is up. I yield back, Chairman. Thank you.
Yes, sir.